You on 10 today.
Welcome to Verbal Big Radio, where we give you a verbal image of life, and we are everyday people. Like to welcome you all to the show. Look, as we do every, let's say once every, twice every month, we'll bring on guests. You familiar with Brother Christnu and Sister Pebbles, who come and give their intake on social events or things that's taking place in society today. And also, we are international, so we can go with topics across the globe. Welcome to the show. Make sure you all come out this Friday at Club Play, where Houston comes to play, the playground. 3704 Fannin Street, 77004. The airing of the documentary Everyday People, which I told you I was coming soon, will air that this Friday at Club Play, 8 p.m. sharp, so make sure you're in the place. Now we're getting into something that's an old topic with a new spin in 2017, because we all know that part of Willie Lynch, when he put the dark against the light, or we would come back with James Brown said loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Now we faced with this issue, so we want to come, hopefully on this show today, that we can give you enough insight, enough evidence to prove or to lay this issue of rest dealing with color. So we finna kick it off. Something that Waka Flocka Flame said, that he wasn't black, so we want to get into dynamics of that. Also, we want to touch bases on what is black, and do we take the Caucasian dictionary term of what black is, or do we go back to the comedic meaning of what black is, or i.e. land of the burnt skin people? So we want to deal with that all the way back to the old mix. So, Brother Christnu.
What's going on?
Man, give us an update, man, on this Waka Flocka incident. And before you do that, I just want to say, too, though, it's always good, too, to have the female perspective, because we look at the color thing from a different angle, and the female would see things, the perspective from a different angle, dealing with color, because a woman, whether that child is light or dark is dark, she gonna love them both the same, And then, but men, we go out in the street and say, "Oh man, I want this red bone, I want this yellow bone, I want this so and so, I want this." When there is no disparagement between us as a people, but we want to tie all that into it at the end of the day. Hopefully, we can do it all within 20 minutes.
Already. So look, reason why I wanted to touch on this is because, I heard the Hot 97 interview that Waka Flocka did, and from my understanding, everything that I've studied is that he got part of it correct, but there's a piece that's missing that a lot of brothers, Moors, different indigenous people are missing in this whole thing. Is that yes, we are the original indigenous people of this particular soil as far as the Americas is concerned. Now, in terms of us being Africans, see, people are saying, okay, we're the domestic indigenous people, the original people of this land, but then there are some that are saying, well, we're not Africans, or people of Alkebulan, or whatever term that people want to use. It doesn't matter. We're just talking about the only non-drifting continent on the planet that is the only self-sufficient body of land on the planet. It's the only self-sufficient. It's the only non-drifting continent. Now, it is also the place where you find the oldest remains and evidence in terms of our people actually having existence there. That's undeniable. That's a fact. So, with that being said, is that when you talk about, our DNA, we have a countless amount of tribes and nations within our DNA. So it's not just strictly, our indigenous bloodline in the Americas. We also have the indigenous bloodline of our people on the continent in Africa. We have that in our DNA as well. So when people try to make this, they try to say, oh, well, the DNA tests are fake, like the AfricanAncestry.com, that Oprah Winfrey and Spike Lee and all of the Erykah Badu, all these particular people took the test and they got results back saying that they had DNA and blood in Africa, and people are saying the test is fake. No, what the creator of the test went on the record and said on 60 Minutes is is that they're able to identify a piece of your DNA because we have a countless amount of tribes and nations within our DNA. But if you can locate one, then you can relate yourself back to a people, a land, and a tribe. But that doesn't take away the fact that you also have tribe and nations over here that you can identify and go into your lineage and find out as well.
Right. Could that be the Olmecs?
The Olmecs, the Kuro civilization, the Malian Moors that came over here.
Which is Cherokee.
Indeed, Cherokee, which I think they call that Salagi, the original name. A lot of these later day names, things have been changed.
Right.
Excuse my, if the pronunciation is, but yeah.
But correct. But the knowledge,
right.
the knowledge
is there. Y'all can look that up yourself and figure out how to, phonetically break down these particular ancient names for groups of people and families on this soil.
Okay, now, yeah, and that's a fact. See, and the thing that interests me the most is that when the planet, before the tectonic plate split, when people were walking from Africa and visiting different places, right? And we want to, because this is another thing we got to straighten out. Now, the theory was, and help me if I'm wrong, is that those Africans who went far north or far west to Europe, since it was a cold climate, over a period of time, they started losing their melanin and they became white and they lost the recessive genes started taking place and their eyes became blue and hair. That cannot be true. Melanin is a substance. Melanin, that mean the Eskimos would be European
right,
looking.
Right.
Because one of the scholars was stated that on Hidden Colors, and I'm like, come on, bro, what's the purpose of telling the public that when it's impossible? You can set melanin in and it's gonna stay melanated wherever you put it on this planet. Right. I didn't agree with that. So we got that one out the way. Right. So basically what you saying is, so with Waka Flocka Flame, he's saying that he's not black. Now let me ask you this. Now the races of white would be Caucasian Europe, from European descent, North Africa, Middle Easterner, and now they include Mexicans as far as white. And the theory of that is that their population was dwindling down to under 50%, so they added the Hispanics, so the Hispanics can check white on the census. So it can seem like they had 72%. Okay, cool. But the thing about that is that the North Africans are melanated people. And so if a black person traces his ancestry DNA back to North Africa, does that mean he's white?
Right. There was a case where there was an Egyptian brother and he wanted to be classified as black because of how the people over here that were classifying themselves as such, he identified himself as being the same people. But the U.S. had him down as white because of his lineage, him being Egyptian. So he actually went had an actual court case and actually was fighting against that. Now, the thing is that Federal Directive Number 15, which I think was adopted in 1977, is actual what they use when it comes to the actual legal and lawful classifications of groups of people in the Americas. So white people they have it classified as the original people of North Africa, the original people of Europe, and the original people of the Middle East, which is all our ancestors, which we talked about before. The Middle East just being originally a part of Africa, they changed the name, is now just, a product of political classification or definition in terms of being a landmass, but that's still a part of Africa. When you talk about the original people of Europe, you have the Druids, that's still us. The snake people, we talked about St. Patrick's Day, and they driving out of the black snake was the driving out of the snake people, which was our ancestors.
Come on.
So all of these particular locations in terms of the original people of these locations, it's all us. So, as far as their origins are concerned, that's another conversation. But we know where they come from as well, and it's not from climate because they went into a cold climate, which a lot of people reference that from Ivan Van Sertima. But he had a European wife, so there's an agenda that's involved in that. There it is.
Come on. We can't get away.
That's not, to me, a proper adaptation.
Right.
At all. Right. At all. You might, from an animalistic standpoint, you might grow thicker hair, something of the sort, but no.
Right. You're not losing who you are.
No, you're not at all.
Right.
Now, Sister Pebbles, on this note, we got to get in this, and this is for us as a whole, but mainly leaning geared towards the females in a sense, because we want to end this too, and even we want to end the experiment that everyone knows about of the white doll and the black doll, and the black baby went and put the white doll up because she said the white doll was beautiful. Which one you think is pretty? They go get the white doll. We want to end that because how do you see of race or color or black when it comes to us as a people in society? Because we all know that they will portray the white standard of beauty as dealing with white women on the magazines and whatnot, and you would have some sisters who's trying to compete with that. And then they lose themselves trying to become the image of what somebody else put out that beauty should be. When, and back in time, we understood that they would write poems about black women. They would call black women the most beautiful. What's the guy who went over to Egypt? Alexander the Great. And saw the sister and fell in love with her. And before him, it was Mark Antony, and fell in love with that beauty. But in today's situation, dealing with that, how do you see it or view that? That those concepts of that shouldn't have to be fought against, since we are the original man and original woman of the planet Earth. I mean, how do we overturn that ideology, that mindset?
Well, I firmly believe it's a case of when you really love what you say you hate. That's it. Yeah. That's it.
Yeah. They love
everything about it, from every aspect.
Yeah.
The color, the stature of the body, everything. And if you didn't, it's like meanwhile when we may have some of the sisters want to, being driven to that look. But guess what? Why is it so they're going for that look? But then they're actually coming for the look that we possess.
Yeah, that's what makes sense. You see white women getting ass injections,
everything,
lip injections,
collagen,
yes,
melanin.
Cannot touch your hair, or either. How do you? How is this of that or whatever? How do you look this way? How do you look this way? Mm-hmm. Or even I've had a young lady to even say she's been in the grocery store and a guy came up, a Caucasian, and say, well, how do you, I would like for my wife, is that real? How is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But see, that's what I'm saying.
But so they've equally been, thought to believe, to have particular perceptions of us until they actually are in the presence of us, and it's like, wow, like, okay, it's something definitely to be marveled at.
So how can you build a society? That's what I'm saying. How can you build a society? You have to
teach. I really believe teach your children. In fact, my daughter, she called me on the phone, which I know she's aware of it, but she says, Mama, what's my race? Because apparently she had to fill out some paperwork at school, and I said, Goddess.
Yeah, come on. There you go. That's right.
And I say, okay, then if you see it there, I say it's African American.
Right.
But I say, do you really want to know?
Right.
That's what I told her. I said, I'll share some information with you.
That's right.
But yeah, it's just a fact. We have it going on without a doubt.
Without a doubt.
Okay, it is what it is.
Because we have to build from that mindset.
Right.
See, we building, in the past, but in the present, we are building from that mindset. But we was we survived and we created from a mindset of that they gave us of inferiority in the sense because we didn't have that love for who we were because it was always portrayed in the media or whatever.
That's
that
right.
was
And
a
guess
negative.
what? And then again, it's almost like a nasty little game. You know, it's my way of uplifting myself. But in order for me to do that, of course, I have to downplay someone else. And really, that's what it is. And it's self-evident. Hey.
But can you imagine the world when black people across the globe build out of a mindset of love for themselves? I just love me.
When everybody does
everything
that,
I touch.
Right. It's a lot of things that go away. I'm telling you something. It's only because we're giving particular things energy. Once we no longer give it energy, it'll fade on its own. It'll be left to be subjected to itself.
Okay.
That's what it will be.
Brother Christnu, what's the word,
man? I got so much to say, man.
Come on,
man.
bro.
Look, this is a point that I haven't heard being brought up, at least outside of us, is in terms of when we think about the quote-unquote American Indians or Native Americans, domestic indigenous people here, that people, there's a certain kind of pride, there's a certain type of perspective that comes along with those people because they're looked at as basically warriors and fighters. Even though, we'll say that they were defeated, even though, that is us. That is us. But see, that's the point, is that you have, even our own people have been guilty of this. They'll look at the men, the brothers, and be like, oh, well, y'all niggas just let them come and just kick y'all in the ass and y'all got ran over and y'all, look.
Come on.
First of all, it was a bold-faced motherfucking lie that they had that kind of prowess over the water to bring that many Africans over here. There was a small percentage, 5, 8, 10% that was brought over here. The rest of us was already here, fighting.
That's right.
Okay. We were fighting like all the way into the 1900s.
Okay, well, hold up. So
against them.
Right, so the Cherokee War in 1776, then you had the British War going on around the same time. Something, we got to look into that.
Okay, some references. I just saw this morning. Go check out the channel Black Magic 363 with Brother Rich. There was some Moors on there that were talking about and documenting a lot of the wars that was happening with our people, the domestic indigenous tribes, our people, where they was fighting against the Europeans that came over here, and they had a lot of other good information speaking on this particular topic. But I just want to impress that point about the perspective that we have of our own people, because when you was talking about why they're picking out this particular doll over the other one, it's because there was an agenda and a fake ass history that was put down in terms of the men not fighting all the way into the 1900s, in particular the Moors that were fighting in the 1900s that are now in the Philippines saying don't call us Filipinos, were Moors that were over here fighting. We've been fighting.
Right.
But were we fighting against each other?
There was infighting, but then some of that came because the Europeans came over here, and some of the darker skinned, the ancient mound builders, you had that particular group and those families, and then you had some of the later day indigenous people that came over here that may have had lighter skin, just like you have people that'll try to divide now, but they had that divide, and then those Europeans started amalgamating and started having children with the lighter skin, what the brothers in the video said, the Mongoloid type. We're just talking about phenotypes. And then you had a divide, which is also a divide that happened even with the Moors when they were getting with the European women, and then you had the lighter skin, and then you have infighting. But there was there was a lot. I'll put it to you like this. Just like niggas today find a reason to fight against each other, that's the same thing that was going on back then.
Okay, last point before we go, because we got to tackle this issue before we get out of here, right? We got to tackle this issue. Because now we building out of the mind of an upright black person, or a mind of a sane black person, or mind of a black person who knows who they are and have knowledge itself to move forward as creation. Man, look, okay, so you got protons, you got electrons, you got neutrons, right?
Right.
Okay, but before we get into that, can a battery be made where it doesn't need the negative charge?
No.
To where it can roll just on positive?
No.
Can it be made as we evolve in time to where we can create one?
No.
Okay, let me ask you this. Protons, neutrons, electrons, right? Electrons is, okay, we would say, they say electrons give negative charge, right?
Okay.
Then that middle neutral, right, That would be what they would call Satan because he knows the difference between good and evil.
Okay.
Okay. Now, bam. So as we evolve, can we just start from that proton and move forward in time to where you don't need the neutron or the electron? You just build in 100% out positive energy.
No.
Why is that?
No.
Why is that? Why is in time? You know what? Reason why I say that?
Hell no.
Reason why I say that? Hold on.
I almost would think if you was at that point, how would you ever be able? What would allow for you give you the desire to keep moving forward?
Come on,
if you don't have nothing to go against you.
Yeah, you know why? You know why? Because you start at point zero, right? Okay.
Point zero is the negative. That's a negative principle.
Correct.
That's the holistic principle.
In
That's
this
the feminine
time.
principle.
What have you
That's
mastered?
the feminine. No, we haven't mastered. If you're talking about 0 point or the feminine principle and the 1 point, in terms of the principle of gender. In terms of the principle of gender,
that's different. Yeah.
Okay, but it's the same because the number 0 or that cipher is feminine principle.
Right.
Principle of gender is within everything.
Okay.
That's masculine, feminine principle in everything. So when you talk, you can't just be functioning strictly off of positive because that's the masculine principle. You got to have the other half, the feminine principle, the negative charge, which comes under the black color frequency,
right?
Which is also correspondence with the subconscious mind. You can't just function strictly off of the conscious mind or just strictly off of the positive charge. You got to have the negative charge to balance it out
for a time.
Yeah, but because if you don't, to me, if you don't, what would allow for you to keep moving forward? If you have nothing, no kind of barriers, no kind of restriction, what would cause you to go forward?
Because you building on top of, and as that distance is
but what is going to allow for you to keep pushing forward? If you master something,
the unknown.
No, but what is it?
You know it's back there.
So guess what? That is it. That's the unknown. The unknown is that barrier because you're going to keep going for the unknown. Right. It's still something that it is in the pathway.
As your anchor. It's grounding you.
It is, but
when you fly, you don't need a ground.
So is that not the negative, the unknown? Because you don't know?
Well, you know because you started from 0.
Okay, so if
you started from you didn't but like this. You started from walking, then I'm saying we need a wheel.
Okay, but
then you need a wheel, you need a car. From a car you need a train. Then you need a plane. Then you need a spaceship.
Okay.
Now you flying yourself.
Okay, let me tell you something. Hold on 1 second. Let me tell you what Professor Miller told me. He said, this is a great thought. They use containers for shipping, cargo, right?
Okay.
In the years to come, it'll be something to replace that.
Bang.
What can replace that?
Shipping containers?
Yes.
What can replace shipping containers?
Yes. What?
What can replace a container? For material goods.
Yeah, for material goods. Any good. What can replace that? Because something will replace it. But what is it?
That's what I'm saying. We don't know yet.
You see what I'm saying? Because guess what? It is perfect. They can perfectly position.
Right.
They can perfectly stack.
But it has to be replaced as we evolve.
But what is it?
Okay, but is it going to be replaced by another container?
It might be it might be another different container. Or you know what?
But here's the thing about the container, right?
You know what? It might be done like it might be done like you do a pound. It might compress it.
Okay, but
take that whole.
But you gotta watch compression. But you gotta watch compression because guess what? Inside of that container, you might have particular goods that you cannot mix together. Because if you do, you can create an explosion.
Okay.
So you got to be mindful.
But here's the thing. Even if they do compress it, is that when you put it, the container is still a feminine principle.
Okay.
Just like the home, it's the womb. You still, that womb or that cipher, regardless if it's a square, a circle, oval, we talked about this. It's still, I don't get it. You gotta, they can't change the kind. We need that in order. That particular feminine principle of a container or taking, this is like the ocean. The ocean is also the feminine principle. You go deep enough into the ocean, it'll be pitch black. You won't be able to see your hand. The feminine principle already been defined by our ancestors as being the black color frequency. It's already been defined as far as the subconscious mind is concerned. Now, in terms of what you were saying, when you were saying, okay, we just go off a positive charge, is that
with
the majority let's say 96%, 96% of this universe is dark matter and dark energy. 4% is physical. That 4% represents that positive charge. That would be akin to the left brain, the ego, the conscious mind. That 96% will represent the feminine principle, the subconscious mind, the deep dark portions of the what they call the abyss, the black color frequency, the receive aspect, the positive charge is the give aspect.
Right, but
the vagina is that container that contains the sperm that goes in and cultivates within the container, and then when it is time for fruition, it comes out of the container, and then the connect gets emoted that way.
Well, that's all facts. But let me ask you this question though: where did the female come from, according to the book, what they call ancient scriptures or the Bible?
Sophia came before Yada. So the original concept is Sophia.
Right, okay, bam.
Before they took it out, before they tried to change what the Gnostics taught them, the Romans.
Right, that's true. But what they would say, right, but what they did say was that that we were one. But then to show expression, the female was split from the male. Now, right, she got a principle. But when that energy comes back as one energy, and we put it back together as we evolve, we become one again. But then we positive.
No, we're androgynous. I'm not talking. Black. I'm not talking about in a Prince.
Okay.
Niggas wearing cutout ass pants and Young Thug. I'm talking about in terms of a mind. I'm talking about somebody who is using their left and right brain. Right, okay. Somebody who is balanced. Somebody who is not so extreme on one side where you got a feminist or masculinist.
Right. Because when you hear the term and drop, people like, but wait.
No, we're talking about a mindset. We're talking about a balance.
Right.
We're talking about yin and yang symbol. That's an androgynous symbol.
It has to be the balance.
The Baphomet is an androgynous symbol.
Right, correct. See, but this is metaphysics, so we want to bring you all up to speed who's listening so you can deal with what they would call heavy information.
Right.
Bam. Okay, so androgynous, right? But what I'm saying is, so you can put them back together again. You're not putting them on the wall. Okay, cool. So we going to the androgynous because you got to realize we moving towards something.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And as we move towards that something, we don't know what it is that lies ahead. Mm-hmm. But we do kind of, in a sense, know what it is that lies ahead because we were started off as atoms in space before we have this human existence walking around on the planet. Mm-hmm. Meaning we existed in thought long before we did in flesh. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then we going back. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But how you get back is what I'm saying. Meaning nothing of this world will we be able to take with us in a new world. Mm-hmm. So what the new world look like? We don't know. Okay, we don't know what the new world look like.
We're taking our thought, our mindset when we transition out of the physical into the mental plane. We're taking.
Is that the real existence?
That is a realer existence.
So do you need the ground? Do you need the negative ground in the spiritual, in the mental, when you in thought?
Well, the thing about it is that when you go to when you go to the mental plane, it's already been defined by our ancestors that still being the negative principle. They're saying we're in a conscious mind, we're in an awakened conscious mindset right now. Or let me rephrase that. We're having a conversation with our conscious minds right now.
Right.
Now, when we go into the mental plane, we can take what we've accumulated in our conscious conversation and take it just like a person, whenever they dream or they go into the mental plane, whatever their thought was before they went to sleep, they'll take that with them in there, and then they'll see, visualization, et cetera, whenever they go into that particular space. Okay. But what I'm saying is that particular space is pure subconscious, which is still the feminine principle.
Okay, I'm not bashing. I'm not bashing because I understand that the womb of the woman, the black hole of the universe coming into existence. Plant the fertilization, plant seed in the ground. Seed comes up to give fruitation and investment.
Birth, the
Plant
whole
the
aspect
birth.
of that.
I understand that.
Okay, well,
But I'm saying I'm thinking and I could be wrong. You're right. I could be wrong. But for conversing on on this topic, I'm just not playing with how they say devil's advocate.
Right.
But I'm simply saying that it's like everything else. As you experience it, you master it. Like Bobby Hemmings say, Ben that got the T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what we once knew have to elevate even higher because we no longer do the same things or else we'll be stagnated. But you got to keep improving and building upon.
Right.
So the next stage would be a battery with no negative charge.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Okay,
But it might not be.
Let's say everything that we've accumulated within the concept of a positive charge, right?
Right.
They call that akasha. That's what our ancestors would call it.
Okay.
They would say that everything, all of the experiences that we had while we're within the quote-unquote positive charge would be the conscious realm, that those memories would go into akasha. That'd be like a memory bank.
Right.
That'd be like the library of everything that we've experienced.
Yeah, akasha
We'll take
records.
that into the mental plane whenever we transition. Whenever people say they quote unquote die and they transition into the mental plane, then all of that, they're taking all that akasha with them. And then even once they get there, they're still building on that until they get to what has been referred to as the unfathomable realm.
Come on.
So what I'm saying
on.
is not to take nothing away from the positive charge. It's necessary. We're mastering the positive charge. We're mastering the conscious realm. But at the same time, we're also mastering the subconscious as well. That's why the concept exists.
Right.
So one would just be akin to the positive charge of the masculine principle, and then the mental would be akin to the negative charge or the feminine principle. So there's a balance within mastering both within the concept of choice, which is a product of creation.
Come on.
Hey, man. Well said.
See, and if
Great
if it's never a negative, how would you ever know what I would, equate to being let's say a challenge? If you never have that, how would you ever make something greater? How could it ever be greater if you don't have anything to base that against?
Right. To
How
measure.
would you ever?
to-
You can't keep. I'm at perfection and I keep running for perfection.
Keep going
But
forward.
what would be my reason to keep going forward?
Because there's more
What would-
perfection after that perfection.
But how would
Then
you know?
that last
but how
perfection
would you
will
know?
become the
But
negative.
how would you know that it was perfection? What would you levy that against?
Because because the next step was higher than
But
the
how
last
would you
step.
know?
The next
How
step
would
on
you
the
know?
ladder.
Based on what?
Because
According to what?
Because you can look back and say, okay. You can look back
But
and say.
why are we looking back? If
Because
we already,
this step
why are we
is
looking
moving
back?
forward to this step
But why
and this
would
step and this
But
step
why
and
would
this
we
step.
look back? What are we looking back
Because,
for?
or you looking back because
Because
you
it was a
recognize
what?
your first step.
That it was what?
But your first
That-
step was positive because you had to do like this.
Okay, but why are you looking back?
I see what you're saying. For,
Why are you looking back?
For
What-
progression, to recognize progression, to know progression.
Okay,
to
so what allows
see
for progression? It has
motivation.
it had to be at a lesser step in order to make
But
progression.
but in the beginning it wasn't a lesson step. It was a step. You created that first step.
I understand that, but how would you know if I had 8 steps? How would I know if I took 8 steps? How would I even know that?
Because you mastered that first step.
Okay, but so that first step would be what? It would be on the lesser level.
Okay, well, you're right.
It's on a lesser level.
Look, y'all remember this conversation.
Guess
Y'all
what?
remember this
Or
day?
it's on a level that you've become familiar with. So you're getting out of the familiarity to do something.
Right.
Okay, at first
but hold on. Have you ever created something that you was proud of?
right.
But then you say, oh, you know what? I could add this. It's like, hold on. It's like the documentary that we all watch with Pebbles and Brother Christnu.
Where it took me first.
But look,
I have it's the steps.
I learned my next one would be better than
why?
That's a whole nother conversation
this.
going into, man.
All right, we out, man. Very big ready.